Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, we're a day late this week. This is Thursday, and the reason that I was a day late was due to some unfortunate, unforeseen circumstances that caused me to be a day late in producing my video. Today's topic is a very serious topic that we have to discuss today. We're discussing the Charleston, South Carolina church shooting and the perpetrator, Dylann Roof, and the 9 victims, including Clem Pinkney, that was at this church. Now, a lot of people are upset about this church shooting, and a lot of people are grieving for the 9 people that are lost, including myself and my family. We're grieving as well for the families of the victims that were shot. And we're very, very sorry that this happened. It's sad that today in America there's so much violence and there's so many shootings and so many bombings and so much violence in today's society. Now we're wondering why did this happen? Why the shooting? Why did this happen? And there's no easy answers to that question. So we should all grieve at this time. We should all be grieving for the lives lost in this horrific shooting, and the racism that was rife with this shooting is horrific. It's a horrific thing to deal with so much racism and so much hate. How do you deal with so much hate and so much racism? Well, I believe that some good can still come out of this, despite the evil that's been perpetrated. That good can come out of it. That we can overcome racism in this country. That we can overcome the strains of hate, the notes of hate that are played in between the melody of our lives, where we're singing strong our song of unity and equality, and in between there's these notes of hate that come up, that rise up from racist people that inhabit our society, and how they can cause so much havoc and cause so much pain and grief. Well, here's a good question. Are the families of the victims of this shooting required to forgive the shooter? And did the victims, as they were being shot, have to forgive the shooter of the shooter of their people, this horrible Dylann Roof? Did they have to forgive him? The answer is no. They are not required to forgive. And this is important because a lot of people think that they're required to forgive, that there's an absolute um, absolute requirement that they forgive. And I know a lot of them chose to forgive him, okay? I know that a lot of them chose to forgive him and they chose to say, "We forgive you." But were they required to? Were they required to forgive him? And the answer is no. They weren't required to forgive him. It would have been okay. They would have been A-okay if they hadn't forgiven him, because what he did was horrific and what he did was terrible. And in fact, he should not be forgiven. He doesn't deserve forgiveness. But I I concede that the families had a right to forgive him if they chose. So they're not out of bounds in forgiving him. They're not doing wrong by forgiving him, but they weren't required to. Were they required to? No, they weren't required to. They were never required to forgive. It wasn't. It wasn't something that was required by Goddess. Goddess does not require people to forgive a horrific crime like this and the horrible circumstances that these people endured. They weren't required. So, what can we take away from this? I think that people should be stronger in their faith and that they should come away from this wanting to create unity and fight for equal and civil rights. And that is what we can take away from this. What we can take away from this is that freedom is precious, that lives are precious. Lives are even more precious than freedom. Lives are precious, and we should all endeavor to promote equality in this country and promote religious freedoms and promote civil rights and also fight racism and fight the hate that creates these sorts of situations. Fighting racism in this country is an imperative, and we need to start doing it. We need to start fighting the hate wherever we find it. Wherever, it doesn't matter who is doing the hating or where we find the hate. We have to fight racism wherever we find it. So, fight the good fight. Fight racism. Fight for equality and justice. Fight for civil rights and unity. And let's make a showing. Let's show that this Dylann Roof is wrong. And let's show that we believe in equality in this country. And make a show of unity and solidarity with the victims of this shooting. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha Wolf, signing off, and have a great week, and remember to fight for unity and solidarity.